Morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We are learning Mishnah Yis Erevin, Perek Zayin, Chapter 7, Mishnah Hey, Mishnah 5. Okay, so again, continuing about the discussion about when you have two courtyards and there is something dividing between them. Masbein shebein shtei chatzeros. A masbein means a haystack.
What does haystack mean?
Hay is like straw that you give to an animal to eat, and it's a big pile. That's a haystack. Okay. Shebein shtei chatzeros. This haystack is situated between two courtyards. Kavaya asara tvachim. It's 10 tvachim high. If it's 10 tvachim high, then it constitutes a wall, a mechitza, a halachic separation. Okay. Ma'arvin shnayim ve'marvin echad. If you've got the haystack and it divides, it goes from one end to the other end and divides the area into two separate areas, the two courtyards. So the halach is marvin shnayim. They have to make two separate erev chatzeres. Ve'ein marvin echad. They can't make an erev together. So you've got this courtyard, you've got this haystack going across the whole yard and separating. If it's 10 tvachim high, the Mishnah says it's going to go ahead and it's going to separate between the two. It creates two courtyards. Each courtyard needs its own erev chatzeres. Now, what's interesting is that hay is something that animals eat, right? That hay, that's supposed to stay there forever. It's definitely not a permanent wall. Nonetheless, it can still be a wall, so it's temporary. A temporary wall is also a wall. However, if you remember, in a previous Mishnah, we spoke about that, let's say what's separating between the two courtyards is a ditch. So if the ditch was filled with hay or straw, we said that since it's going to be removed from there, so it's not like it's filled in. So it's not a contradiction. Over there, you have a ditch. The ditch separates. Now you want to know, has the ditch been filled in? Has it been removed, so to speak? Has it been eliminated? It can only be eliminated with something that's going to stay there permanently, not temporarily. But now you want the temporary thing to be the partition. That's not a problem. So if you want to say that the ditch is filled in because of the straw, it's not filled in because it's going to come out. But to say, can the straw be a wall even though it's going to be only temporarily there? The answer is yes. So therefore, the two Mishnayos are not a contradiction. Okay, now the Mishnah continues. Eilu machilan mikan, ve'eilu machilan mikan. Now, again, since it's hay, it's meant for animals to eat. So the Mishnah says that the people on each side, meaning the people of each courtyard, they can feed their animals from each side. They can allow their animals to eat. They can allow their animals to go up to this wall and munch on it, right, and eat the wall. They're allowed. They each one can do that. Now, what's the point? What's the point of the Mishnah? The point of the Mishnah is like this: if this, excuse me, this wall has to be 10 tefachim high in order to be a wall, okay? And if, let's say, a part of the wall becomes less than 10 tefachim, then as long as if that area that's less than 10, I'm sorry, 10 amas. Sorry about that. I'm sorry. If let's say your wall, let's say part of the wall becomes less than 10 tefachim high. So as long as that area is not more than 10 amos wide, it's considered an opening. It's considered a doorway. If it's a doorway, the wall is still there. If it's more than that, then the door is not there. Okay? So now the Mishnah is saying like this. The Mishnah is saying that you might think that if I allow my animal to eat from this wall, what may happen? The wall may become less than 10 tefachim high because animals are eating from it. And that may actually land up being going more than an area of 10 amas. So maybe I shouldn't allow the animal. Maybe we shouldn't be allowed to allow our animals to munch on the wall because it's going to on Shabbos. They're going to land up eating from it. Make the wall less than 10 tefachim. There'll be no partition anymore. If there's no partition anymore, it's one courtyard. If it's one courtyard, it needs one erev chatzeres, and it doesn't have one erev chatzeres. They made two. And now it's Shabbos. On Shabbos, you can't make an erev chatzeres.
Say that last part again.
You can't make an erev on Shabbos, right?
Yeah.
So if, let's say, on Shabbos, the animals will be eating from the wall, and the wall will become less than 10 tefachim high over an area than more than 10 amas, that wall is no good anymore. That means I have one chutzner here. I have one courtyard. And I only have, and I made 2 Erev Chatzeris here before Shabbos.
So these people have
So now
nothing to do with these
Right.
people.
So therefore, the whole thing's no good anymore. Can't carry there anymore. And the thing is, if you allow the animals to go ahead and eat from it, maybe it'll happen, not even going to realize. So the Mishnah says, no, you can let the animals eat from it. You know why? Because animals don't eat that much. They're not going to eat that much to be able to be afraid that this is going to happen. You don't have to be concerned about that. You don't have to be concerned about that. Now, what's interesting is that they bring down here from the Gemara the following. When you let your animals go there to eat, it's there's a couple of conditions. Number one, you first of all cannot take with your hand from the hay and feed it to them. Why? Because if you take it, if the people are going to start feeding their animals, people are generous. They take out big chunks. And because they take out big chunks, they take out more than what the animals eat, then we're actually concerned that it could come out that the wall is going to be diminished in a way that it doesn't divide anymore. That's number one. Number two, you cannot lead your animals to the wall. Because if you lead them to the wall, we're afraid that you're going to take it with your hand and feed it to them. So when it says you allow them to eat from it, it means you basically, what? You basically have to block their way so that they have no way of going except towards the wall. Meaning you cannot lead it. You can't lead it. You have to basically indirectly make them go there. So instead of leading them there, you kind of block their path to the point that they can only land up. You keep standing in front of it so that the only direction it has is the hay. It sees the hay and says, hey, let's go eat. Right. So, so that's the way the Gemara says this works here. So Eddie, you cannot, basically you have to do it indirectly. If you start doing it directly, leading the animals there or feeding the animal yourself, then we're afraid. Again, that's where the concern is. You're going to do it yourself. When you do it yourself, you take out more. And we are afraid you may diminish the wall. Okay? So therefore, the Mishnah says you could let them eat, you could allow them to eat, because if you just allow them to eat on their own, they're not going to diminish the wall in a way that invalidates it. The Mishnah continues, now let's say you had this wall up before Shabbos. And before Shabbos began, you saw that the wall became less than 10 tefachim. Either became less than 10 tefachim over an area of more than 10 amas, or as they bring down here on the bottom, let's say it's a very short wall. The wall itself isn't even 10 amas long, okay? But what happens is the entire boundary of the wall got less, meaning it doesn't cover an area of 10 amas. It's less than, let's say it's exactly 10 amas or less, but it's the whole area of the wall. So in those cases, if the straw became less than 10 tefachim high, marvin echad, then the halacha is they make 1 erev, they marvin shnayim, they don't make 2 erevs. If the wall is less than 10 tefachim before Shabbos, so if it happens on Shabbos, nothing you can do about it. Yeah. But if it happened before Shabbos, then the point is I don't have a partition here anymore. It's all one courtyard, and therefore they all have to come together to participate in 1 erev chatzeres. They cannot make 2. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Yeah.